Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at all the cups that are available or were available for Pokemon Go. There might be some missing. I know that there are a few missing that have not really been out for longer. For example, something like the Ultra League variant without legendaries. I think that one is not in here, for example, but this hasn't been really available for, I think, over a year already. So yeah, this is basically those cups that we usually see during the season of Pokemon Go, and we're going to rank them all. If you want to rank them yourself as well, they're going to be most likely a link in the comment section. Hopefully you're going to put it in there, but otherwise remind me for it. But yeah, let's take a look at those cups. Also, one thing before we start off as well, thanks for 60,000 subscribers. I just hit it today, so thanks so much for the support. I'm going to be very excited when the new season thing's going to drop. I'm going to do a lot of cool content for you for this one. And yeah, let's start right into the video and into the tier list. Let's start off with the first one here right now, which is going to be the Master League. For me, Master League is actually one of the most underrated metas. I'm not going to put it S, but it's definitely meta-wise an A-tier meta right now. It's very, very cool because it's the only meta where there is no difference between the levels of Pokemon, which is really, really cool and really makes it balanced in my opinion, which is one of the biggest issues for this tier list as well. Because actually still a lot of cups were not really available since like all the XLs took over, and they were really cool before the XLs took over, but then kind of dipped around a little bit and are now a little bit worse. But yeah, Master League, definitely a really cool cup, just sadly not really accessible for most people, but very cool meta in general. Next one coming up here, going to be the Catch Cup. We all know where the Catch Cup going to end up, and it's of course going to be in the lowest tier. Very, very bad cup. Like, it's always so bad to play in this one. Always going to only allow you to use a Pokemon that you caught in the last 3 months. Usually I build a lot of Pokemon during the month, but like during the season, but usually I already caught them before the season. So this cup's idea is not even that bad, but like it just lacks in execution. Like, if you would just have a cup like this where it checks for what Pokemon you powered up during this season, it would be so much better than just going by the catch date, which I do understand why they do it like this, but it still doesn't really make too much sense in my opinion. Otherwise, let's take a look here at the next cup coming up. Going to be the Color Cup. An interesting one where you're only going to use Fire, Electric, Grass, and Water-type Pokemon, which was a kinda decent one in my opinion, but not as great as, for example, Master League, and for me, like a B-tier pick. It was kinda simple. Was not that bad. Definitely wasn't that bad, but like it was not that great either. So I'm gonna put it there. Definitely a B tier pick, as we going to move on to the Electric Cup. Only, I think, available for 1 week, actually in a recent season, and I don't even remember too much, but like I looked through all the cups beforehand, and I definitely realized that this cup was not really that well taken by the community, and also didn't really look that much like that much fun. And I'm gonna just put it into the lowest tier here right now, which is going to be the D tier. Not really ideal. And here we're going to go ahead and go into something that a lot of people would put instantly D tier, but I actually enjoy them quite a bit, but it really depends on what kind of cup it's going to be. And the non-nerfed variant of the what's called even the Element Cup here for the Little Cup variant is actually a C tier for me. I actually do enjoy Little Cups, mainly because they're insanely fast. If you have a normal Little Cup, it's usually very, very fast, unless it's going to be the normal Little Cup where there is nothing really nerfed, which is just like the normal Pokemon. Then it's going to be the D tier because it's like the Bronzer meta. Nobody likes this Bronzer. Why not? It was so much pain to play this one. I hate this cup. It's literally actually worse than Catch Cup for me. Honestly, go away with this one. It's so bad. Thanks to a XL Bronzer being completely busted. Same goes for the for the Why Not, for example, way too strong for this cup. So that's why also, for example, the variant that has those banned is definitely in a B tier for me. I really like the variant where it is banned, but for me right now, you kinda cannot play Little Cup without having bans in there. So for example here, the Element Cup where it also have like the bans for example, Ducklet in there. I'm definitely gonna put this way higher, maybe even closer to A tier, because like, it's really, really cool to play them just because they're so fast and they're so interesting to do. But yeah, as soon as you have something like Ducklet available, as soon as you have something like Bronzer available, those Pokemon are just a little bit too strong for those meta. So like, you kind of have to always have the nerf on there and ban some certain Pokemon. Otherwise, you're going to kind of not have the best time for those cups. Next one coming up, one of the recent ones, which I quite enjoyed the first time it was available, but didn't enjoy it too much the second time it was available, but it's not that bad. It's definitely, for me at least, I know that for a lot of people it's actually an A tier one, but for me it's like a B tier variant, is the current Fantasy Cup. Fantasy only going to allow you Dragon, Steel, as well as Fairy type Pokemon. It's an Ultra League Cup, so definitely an interesting one. Something that was really bad to play, and I remember it really being bad to play, was the normal Fighting Cup. The Fighting Cup only allowed you to use Fighting type Pokemon, and as far as I know, Medicham was always banned. But what was available was at that time the legendary, not legendary, it's actually the Ultra Beast Buzzwole. Buzzwole was available, and Heracross, which were completely dominating the meta, together with Sneasler, which was at that time not really available for this cup unless you were having like a smaller account that traded over the Sneasler at like a lower level account, like low level. Basically, you had to hatch them, and if you have like a low level account, it's going to be the level you get received the egg in, and otherwise it was not really available to use. And it was just so dominating the meta that this cup was super broken and super unfair, so definitely D tier for me. And the one where you got Sneasler and the Buzzwole and I think Como as well banned is for me not that much higher up here. It's only going to be C tier. Not a big fan of those mono-type cups already. Not that great. And the next one is also going to be a mono-type cup, which I'm going to put above this one, which is going to be the Flying Cup. Flying Cup is definitely not B, A, or S tier for sure. It's definitely more C or D tier, but for me it's actually a little bit better than the other cups below it, because again, it's kind of a similar thing compared to the Little Cup meta there right now. It's just fast. It's insanely fast to do. You only have like, I don't know, like 6-7 Pokemon that are really viable. It's really bad for content, but it's really interesting to play just because you're going to be done with your battles in like 50 minutes, and that's totally fine. And you're still going to have decent results if you have like a Shadow Aerodactyl. So for me, definitely a cup that is not as bad as the other ones below, where it's like, oh god, I literally don't want to play it, but it's definitely not that great either. But like, it's still definitely at least a fast cup, so I'm totally fine with that one. Next cup coming up, going to be the Fossil Cup. There's both the Great and the Ultra League variant. Both of them are kinda similar in terms of the Pokemon that are really allowed. For me, it's kinda an A tier cup, mainly because of the Pokemon that are like available and how you can play it, but it's also kinda RPS. And it's kind of not really having fossils. I kind of have to put it into B tier. Like, I cannot put it into A tier just because it's called Fossil Cup and basically have barely any fossils in there. So for me, B tier for sure, most likely even a little bit lower than the Fantasy Cup and maybe even than the Color Cup. Just has to be. It just has to be. So next one coming up here right now going to be the Evolution Cup. You were only available, like allowed to use the middle type evolution, for example, a Dusclops or a Vigoroth, and those Pokemon really dominated the meta and made it really stale. You kind of were forced to use a Vigoroth on every team. So for me, this cup was actually really bad, somewhere also below like the C tier. I didn't really like this cup at all. I like the idea, but it was just not really that well executed. I think if you have this cup again, but ban Vigoroth, you would be fine. Like, this cup would be really cool without Vigoroth, and yeah, like this, sadly, it wasn't really that nice. So next time, if you ban Vigoroth, I think this cup would be actually fairly decent, but like this, it's just not really the best one. Next one, which is going to be the best one, that's going to be the Retro Cup. I actually really enjoyed this one. It's Great League, but without Steel, Dark, and Fairy type Pokemon, which basically destroys Umbreon, Galarian Stunfisk, Registeel. It is a little bit awkward nowadays. It was better back in the day. At least I remember it better back in the day. But now, like, you have a little bit more of a defined meta, basically, around, like, Ice-type Pokemon, like Frostless, as well as, like, Dragon-type Pokemon. So, for me, it's still S tier, and just mainly because I really enjoyed it the first time it was around, and the second time as well. I think it was, like, already 3 times now around. Last time, I did not enjoy it as much. It was still fine to play though. For me, it's still an S tier cup, in my opinion. Maybe it's going to drop a little bit lower in the future though. But the next one, going to be also Ultra League as well. It's Great League for me, instant S tier. I always love the Halloween Cup. There's so much creativity that you can do there with like Shadow Tyranitar, stuff like this. Like there was so much to do in this cup. I just really enjoyed it back in the day. I just have great memories of this cup. I just love this cup. Honestly, it was so much fun. Next cup, going to be actually 2 cups together for me. It's going to be the Sinnoh Cup as well as the Hisui Cup, which is basically the same cup, but you had like for the Hisui Cup, like the few Hisuian Pokemon that was available at that time also released into this cup, which did not shift around that much. and I actually quite enjoyed it. Honestly, I kind of want to put it into the A tier. I had a great time playing this cup, and I actually would put it even a little bit above Master League. It was a cool cup, liked it a lot. Same goes kind of for the Horn Cup. I want to put it a little bit lower. Horn Cup was like around all the Horn Pokemon, of course, which kind of includes something like the Sableye, the Registeel, the Altaria. I always think that Azumarill and the Skarmory are 3rd generation Pokemon, but they are not. They're 2nd generation, which is kind of interesting. Which is going to put us also to the next topic here right now, which is going to be the Johto variant, which I think is his symbol. I think it's Johto. If it's the Sinnoh, I'm sorry, but I think it's Johto. Hopefully it's supposed to be Johto. I'm definitely ranking it for it. And for me, this is sadly just a B tier cup. It was not that bad. But just like Johto only has 100 Pokemon, and you just really feel that a lot. There's just such a small amount of Pokemon that you can use. And yeah, it was not as great in my opinion. But still, it was a fun cup to play. Next one going to be also a fun cup to play. And for me, like one of the top of the A tier list is going to be the Holiday Cup for the winter season. Was usually a fun cup to use. Was a lot of times something like Vigoroth Obstagoon meta, to be fair, just to counter also something like Frostless a lot, but it still was kind of fun to play. Maybe it's just also like those holiday cups has just a little bit more of a vibe to it because they usually come with an event for it. But for me, definitely an A tier cup for sure, as you can move on to the Ultra League. I'm sorry for all the Ultra League lovers. For me, Ultra League is just a B tier nowadays. I just have to put it in here. It's high B tier because it is like kind of accessible. But since XL were around, I kind of shifted around to a more of a negative spot, especially with all the XL Double, XL Deoxys Defense, XL Registeel. I just honestly have a little bit too much of that one. I just don't really enjoy it too much. It was way better before the XL update, and this is like the thing for a lot of cups here. I feel like XL really hurt PvP in a sense, so like I'm not really that happy for it, like about it here. Next one going to be the Jungle Cup. I think it was also like Ducklet nerfed again here for this one, where like the Pokemon got cut off again, like the remix variant here of it. I feel like it's definitely a cool cup to have. And for me, it's definitely somewhere also in the B tier. Again, I like Little Cups quite a bit, but not as much, of course, as the other cups. But like I just like it for the being fast. And also here, if the Pokemon get basically banned that were overpowered, I think that's always a good thing. For the one where it's not nerfed, I'm definitely going to put it into low C tier. I just didn't really like it too much. Ducklet is just too strong for the meta right now, since the recent buff of Wing Attack is just way too good. Next cup coming up here, going to be, I think this should be the Kanto Cup. Hopefully it is the Kanto Cup icon. But for me, Kanto Cup was somewhere between A and S. And I actually just really enjoyed it. Like, honestly, I just enjoyed it back in the day. I have to put it S. I just found it funny. Sorry, like, I know a lot of people didn't like the Lickitung meta, the Chansey meta. But I just had a lot of good times with like something like Electrode. Was a lot of fun to play, and there was so much different, like so many different Pokemon that you can use, or something like the Alolan Geodude, which, or like Graveler, which was actually available as well. Was a lot of fun. Yeah, I kind of have to put lower though. Like I have to kind of put it into A tier. I cannot put the Kanto Cup into S tier. It's definitely a little bit higher compared to the Hoenn Cup for me though. Also kind of classic one, to be fair, like with Machamp and stuff like this. Was just a lot of fun. Would be interesting how it's going to be nowadays, because like you have like Fairy Wind, Clefable, might be a little bit too strong for it. Who knows, but we can move on to the next one, going to be the best cup ever, the Doof Cup. It was definitely the best cup ever. Has to be S tier, of course. If it was a serious ranking here, which we don't have, I would put it into D tier, but right now S tier is totally fine for it. Right now, the next one I'm going to skip the next one real quick, because you have to put in the Great League. I know for a lot of people, Great League is the best cup ever. For me, I just have to put a little bit lower. I'm not the biggest fan of Great League nowadays. I hope that the new moves update is going to change it a little bit and going to put it higher again, but right now it's like so centralized around Medicham, which is just not really ideal for me, at least on how I like it. I still gonna put above, like in the top of A tier, but for me right now it's just not as great as it was before. But speaking of this, if you ban all the top tier Pokemon, it's actually quite a cool cup, so I'm going to put the remix variant where like the top 20 Pokemon are banned definitely way higher here, and definitely behind Bidoof into the S tier ranking. As well as we're going to have now the same variant basically, where like I think the top 10 Pokemon that have been used for the Ultra League got banned, and this makes us move like the League also way better, and for me also an S tier meta for sure, as it's going to help this meta out quite a bit. Getting rid of those Cresselia, Giratina, and all this good stuff, like it was definitely more enjoyable than the open Ultra League in my opinion. Next one coming up, actually one of the coolest cup as well, going to be the Love Cup. I like this cup quite a bit. It is very silly because it's like red and like purple Pokemon or some stuff like this. And honestly, or like pink Pokemon, I have to put it S tier. Like, I just like this cup quite a bit. I have to put it above Retro Cup because of the recent impression of this one. But I feel like I don't know why, it's not based on any typing, it's just based on colors, but it was so fun to play this one. I know, I just like it a lot. I think it's a cool cup. There's a lot of good potential for Pokemon like Magcargo or Lomomola to shine in this one, which is just really, really cool to see. Next I'm going to be the Mega Master League. I'm just gonna have the Mega like badge here basically, which is going to be, in my opinion, a B tier, somewhere in the middle of it. Interesting meta idea right now. It was kind of broken after we had the Primals and, like, of course now Mega Rayquaza, which was not available yet, but will be available next time in there. I wish that they're going to make one way they ban certain Mega Pokemon that are too strong. For example, even Gyarados I would ban, but also, of course, the Kyogre and Groudon and the Rayquaza, stuff like this. But there's currently a bug available for this cup, which they have to fix first before this is ever going to come back. So it's going to be a while until we have the Mega Master League again. Next cup going to be the Monotype Cup. Actually, I kind of enjoyed it for a little bit for like the first 5-6 days. And then for the last day, I basically gave away my secret, which was Payback Machamp. And then everybody was shielding this on their Ghost type. So yeah, for me, it's not a bad cup. I have to put it into A tier. I enjoyed it quite a bit for the first like 5-6 days. Afterwards, it was a little bit annoying. I wonder like if we're gonna have a rerun of this, if it's going to be a little bit different. Maybe get some bans for it, which might be interesting. But there was a lot of different Pokemon that had some play, so I liked it quite a bit. Mountain Cup was like, I think, Ice, Steel, Rock Pokemon, stuff like this, Ground Pokemon as well, I think. It was kind of in the middle tier for me again. Kind of somewhere here as well. It's B tier. It was not too crazy. I think, no, actually I didn't hit Legend in this one, but like I think I had some decent teams with this one as well, but I just didn't enjoy it too much, and I think also the community didn't really enjoy it too crazy. Next I'm going to be that Justin Premier Ball. This is for the Premier Master League, so I'm going to put it a little bit below the normal Master League. I like the normal Master League quite a bit, but this is of course a little bit more accessible for people, so the Premier Master League definitely also a decent one here. Next cap coming up, actually surprisingly a Monotype Cup that I enjoyed quite a bit, and I'm gonna put it into B tier. It's not going to be like C or D for me. It's a Psychic type cup. There were some Pokemon banned which was really nice for it, and otherwise it was like a little bit of a fast move heavy meta, but you had always like some kind of fun Pokemon to use as well, like Bronzor, or like Bronzong. Victini was very decent in this cup. Malamar was very decent. It was a little bit awkward, don't get me wrong. It's a little bit of a tougher one, but it's definitely still an interesting cup for me, and it definitely is something that I would put into the B tier. Next cup coming up, going to be the Spring Cup. This one was, I think, where I hit Legend with a very interesting team, which was like very based, I think, around Toxapex and Trevenant this cup the last time around. So I'm gonna put this into B tier. I think it was a little bit too narrow in terms of the meta, and I think the next cup's going to be all kind of similar. Next cup going to be Summer Cup. I actually didn't really enjoy this one at all. I think it was like very, very narrow again. I didn't even have a lot of teams that I could showcase for it, so I'm gonna put a low B tier. And same goes for like the next cups all around, to be fair. Next one going to be Summer Cup, going to be also kind of in that area. They were all kind of similar in terms of the Pokemon that they allowed, and now the Weather Cup was also kind of similar, and I'm going to also put it into the B tier, a little bit higher up though. If you want to check out the videos for those ones, definitely still there. For every cup, basically, there is a playlist on my channel. If you want to check out all what was in meta, basically for it, I've went through them all before as well. And now for the final cup, going to be an interesting one as well, and I actually put it high into B tier, was like the Willpower Cup here right now for me, which was only Psychic, Dark, and Fighting type Pokemon, which was actually kind of interesting. Was very fast move heavy again, like with Charm Pokemon being very decent in this one, but it was just an interesting one that was kind of unconventional, and I kind of liked it a lot. And this is going to be my ranking for the Go Battle League Cups. A lot of them in like the mid tier, which were like kind of how it's always kind of going to be if you don't ban Pokemon. For me, like the ones that are the best ones are the ones where you kind of had some Pokemon that you banned before, like the Great League with the bans and like the Ultra League with the bans. If you ban like the extremely strong Pokemon, it just helps out quite a bit to make a meta a little bit stable. And for me, a lot of the other cups just die on being stable because of like 1-2 Pokemon that are just too strong that you kind of are forced to either bring it or like bring extreme counters to it. and otherwise you have like a bad time. So for me, this is my tier list. If you want to do your own tier list, feel free to tweet them or like X them to me now where Twitter is not available anymore. And yeah, definitely link for this in the comment section. Definitely check that one out, do it yourself, and let me know what you think about this cups, and I see you then. Bye bye.